Okay. It's saying it's private, but I'm hoping once you guys start leaving comments, it'll switch because it sometimes does that, which I do not understand. There we go. Okay. Now it says that it's public. Awesome. So you should be able to leave comments now and all that good stuff. My throat and my tongue are a little frozen because I just drank a protein smoothie. So I feel like I'm having a hard time talking because everything is frozen now. So hopefully it'll be okay. Hello, Kaylin. Hello, Marie. Yay, you got the notification. If you guys are not getting the notification, I noticed it came up on my phone as well because I am see, I can't talk because my lips are frozen. I feel like I've just been to the dentist and they give you a shot of the Novocaine and you can't feel anything and you're all numb. That's how I feel since I drank that whole smoothie. I was trying to like guzzle it as I was making the thumbnail for today's video. And then I posted in the group that we were going to be going to live, and I'm like trying to just suck it all up because I can't drink when I'm doing the live. And so it like froze my lips and my my tongue. But anyways, if you're not subscribed to the notifications, tap the bell and you should get them once I go live. So that is a reminder if you are not. Okay, so I literally just came up with this topic suggestion about a half hour ago and threw together an outline. I was thinking about it all day. And if you guys have any topic suggestions, please definitely help me out. I never want to. So obviously, these are my goals for this show. Okay. Number one, I never want to talk about things I'm not familiar with. That's why if there is a different subject or genre that you would like to hear about, I have guests on that have experience in that subject or topic. Number two, this channel is geared mainly towards younger moms or moms who were saved later in life and don't really have any idea of where to start living this Christian life, you know, where they go from like point A to point B, because maybe they were raised in a really toxic environment and they want different for their kids, or they were raised in a really heathen culture and they are now Christian and they want different for their kids. So that's kind of what this channel is geared towards. And so if you have any topic suggestions that I can help with, then by all means, I will definitely try things that I have no experience in, or I'm not going to do a topic on until I get a guest that does have experience in that subject. Would be things like spousal abuse, even emotional abuse, physical abuse, because I have never personally, now I have communicated with women who are going through that, but I have never personally gone through that myself. So I can give very, very basic advice, such as if he's beating you, you need to call for help or whatever, and you need to separate. But as far as knowing the steps to take to reconcile that relationship, if you would like that, I don't know. I'm not experienced in that. So different subjects like that, I'm not going to do. Things like mental illnesses, I'm not going to touch on because I have no experience in that. So, can I get guests on that are experienced? Yes, I would love to have guests on to talk about the harder subjects. And I know I had Mrs. Angie Hiles on to talk about, you know, um, childhood abuse because she was abused as a child. So I have had her on to talk about that very, very tough subject. But if you have any suggestions, let me know. Anyways, moving on. I feel like I'm thawing out a little bit. It is no secret that our world is full of bullies, nasty spirits, and foul attitudes, even in the Christian realm of things, even in the Baptist realm of things. I remember when I was younger, I went to visit one of the thrift stores here in town, and it was run by the Lutherans. And as I'm shopping, it's a table and it's surrounded by older ladies. They're all sitting at the table and they were the volunteers. And they just start ripping apart their pastor and his wife. Like they were being so terrible and so mean in their words, like very, very vicious with their words. And it just turned me off so badly. I never visited that thrift store since. I'm like, I'm not going to give my money to support this church. It's full of busybodies who are just ripping other people apart. So I left and I've never been back. And that was Lutheran. So even in the Lutheran realm, there's nasty spirits. In the Baptist realm, there's nasty spirits. We've had so many run-ins still, even to this day. There's people with nasty spirits, like making things up about my husband, touting it from the pulpit as truth, twisting his words, trying to poison the well when it comes to people's perception of my husband, which my husband preached a really good sermon on poisoning the well last night. If you want to check that out, talking about the importance of our words and especially our words when it comes to other people. Why are we saying things about other people? Why are we saying the things against other people that we're saying? And oftentimes it's to poison the well of public opinion against them, just to make other people think negatively. And it's a control thing with us. So that was a really good sermon. I highly recommend it. I think every Christian needs to listen to it. Every mom needs to be aware of patterns and things that she needs to watch for in her own home when it comes to poisoning the well. Yeah. Kaylin heard it. Thanks, Kaylin. I thought so too. Very interesting, a lot of very, very good truths. And I always laugh when I hear someone say that words don't hurt because they do. And the Bible is full of verses about the tongue. And I don't think that God would put so much emphasis on words and sins of the tongue if they didn't hurt, if words didn't hurt other people, if words weren't important. So there's a lot in the Bible about that. But my husband and I decided long ago that we would strive to have a family that brought encouragement to others, not drag them down. We've tried teaching our kids the importance of having the right mindset and the right spirit when it comes to their peers, adults, family, and church family. So, what are some things that we've done and what are some things that we're doing as we raise our family? And I kind of wanted to go over those things. So, number one, I think the most important thing is having the right spirit in the home. If the spirit in the home is off, if the dad is a violent, angry man, and the mom is a very angry mom, it's going to trickle down to the children and they're going to be raised with that mindset. So first off, you have to get the spirit right with yourself. There are a lot of influencers out there who have recognized the harm and how they were raised and they're striving to do different. I think Tessa Romero is one. They're striving to do differently with their own families. And I would highly encourage you to follow influencers. They're not always bad, to follow ones that are promoting a good message. And she definitely promotes a good message when it comes to the spirit in the home, and I like a lot of what she says. I know she's probably not on the same page as us with everything, but she has a lot of good things that she shares. So I really like her. I would suggest following people who are going to encourage you and uplift you rather than poisoning the well, so to speak, with your own spirit. You can tell when you listen to someone if they are edifying you and encouraging you, or if they are feeding into that dark part of your spirit, that spirit that's angry, the spirit that doesn't like people, the spirit that hates people. Hatred and having enmity against your brother in Christ is not spiritual. That's all fleshly. So we have to decide what we're going to feed our spirit. Are we going to feed our spirit fleshly, carnal things? Then that's going to come out in our own lives. Or are we going to feed our spirit encouragement, edification, things that are good and true and pure? Then that's going to come out of our own lives in our own spirit. So with having a right spirit in the home, one thing for me that I strive to do is it drives me crazy. Fighting triggers me so badly. I can't stand it when my kids fight. And they still do. And I get pretty upset about it because I hate it. I don't like it. So with their siblings, I really try to come down hard on that especially if they're just being, you can see they're being mean, they're being nasty, they're saying hurtful things. I don't like it when I see my kids saying hurtful things. I don't like that at all. In fact, in our house, I have forbidden name calling. Now, does it still happen? Probably, and I correct it when it does. Kids are kids, but I hate it. I don't like name calling. My husband and I have never called each other names in our 23 years of marriage. That's just something that doesn't happen. He doesn't call me names. I don't call him names. We just stay away from that because words are hurtful and what you call someone matters, and you can do a lot of damage with your tongue, a lot of damage. So, teaching with my kids, I try to teach them to obey without complaining or pointing fingers at their siblings. I would say I have a couple middle kids that are not quite there yet with this. And so I'm daily working on it because I feel like from about age 8 to 12 or 14, it's a little hairy in between those in that age. And this is when bad attitudes really crop up. And you kind of start seeing the complaining and, well, she's not doing this. You're having me do this and she's not doing this, So I think between those ages, I really strive to work on it the most. Usually by the time they get to be about 15, 16, it's kind of leveled out and they have a better spirit about doing things, at least with my kids. So the most important thing, though, like I said first, is that you have to have the right spirit when it comes to the home. Your kids are going to pick up on your moods. Your husband is going to know when he comes home, oh, she had a really bad day. It's just oozing out of us, right? So your husband's going to pick up on it. It's going to trickle down to the kids. And we have to resolve that. Even if we have a bad day, our attitude and our spirit, our kids are going to pick up on. So we need to be really careful when it comes to that. Another rule in our house is obviously we have no foul language. Anyone that knows that about the McMurtries knows that. We don't cuss. We don't use the world's language. And all throughout the Bible, you'll see that language identifies people with different things. When Peter was trying not to be identified as a Christ follower, he swore. He used language to try to convince the servant girl that he was not following Jesus. And it worked. So a lot of times they could tell what different region they were from. They were from Galilee, or if they were, whatever region it was, they could tell just based off of their language, their word usage. So language definitely identifies us. And for our family, we're Christians. So we're going to talk like Christians. We're going to act like Christians. We're going to behave like Christians. And one of the most important things is in our speech. So there is no foul language in our home. I don't even like movies with foul language. That's really important to me. I don't want my kids picking up on that. I don't even want it running through their heads. Now, when they get to be a certain age, you're going to have to realize that they're going to be around that at work. And Jason is all the time around his coworkers. Tommy is, I'm sure, at his job too. But there's just no shielding them from the world's ways. But we don't need to bring the world's ways into our homes. So we don't need to take that language that they're around all the time and then use that same language in our home. So no foul language. And I try to emphasize to my kids the importance of speech. Speech is very important. The things that you say to people are very important. The tone that you say it to people is very important. The meaning behind what you're saying to other people is very important. Like, why do you feel the need to um, bring that other person down? Why do you feel the need to tear someone else down? Really examine yourself. Why do I feel the need to put everyone else down? Why do I feel the need to tear other people down? Why do I feel the need to have this negative spirit towards everyone else? There's probably something really wrong in your heart. And then in my home, we also try to have good, godly music playing. We love college groups. Alexa will play. I'll say, hey, Alexa, play Golden State Baptist College. And then similar songs will come out. Now, we like the Collingsworth family. My girls like the Collingsworth. They're not like my total cup of tea. But if a Collingsworth song is thrown in there, it's still Christ edifying music. I like any type of college group, Hyles Anderson, even West Coast has some good music. And so I'll say, hey, Alexa, play this college group. And then songs that are very similar in nature will come up. I also like anything Majesty music related. That they will do. What's the Clark family? Some of their newer stuff is getting a little more liberalish in sound. So, but I like some of their older stuff. A lot of the older Clark music I like. So, anyways, all that to say, if you don't get your kids accustomed to good music like that, as they get older, they might start being drawn more to the world's music. And for my kids, they just know Taylor Swift is out. Secular groups are out. And, Chloe is my one that loves listening to music. So her playlist is just full of different college groups. You can make playlists on YouTube, different things like that. But I do think that having good, godly, edifying music helps overall the spirit of the home, helps promote a calm home, a peaceful home, a Christ honoring home. So for us, we do like to have good, godly music playing. We even like some fun songs sometimes, like Willy Wonka's playlist, or I don't know, any of the musical songs from Sound of Music or whatever you can find. Just good fun, clean fun that we enjoy playing throughout the house. So I think that's important to get your kids hooked on the right type of music as they're young and as they grow up, so that they're not drawn, because most teenagers like listening to something. So get them addicted to the right stuff, and have that playing in your house. So, okay, what about having the right spirit in your marriage? Now, why do we need to have this in order to raise kids with the right spirit when it comes to marriage? Well, because your kids are going to pick on, you are the first example of a good, godly marriage to your children. And they're going to base a lot of what they think and know of marriage off of how you and your husband's marriage works. So what's something that we can do as a wife to keep that right spirit good? Because kids can pick up on tension between mom and dad too. They know when mom and dad have been fighting. They know when something's going on. They're not stupid. Well, number one, appreciate all the hard work that your husband does. Okay. Tell him, I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. Hopefully he does the same with you, but we're not focusing on him. We're focusing on you. Appreciate all the hard work that he does. Don't nag him incessantly about things. I know for my husband, when I start repeating myself constantly, he gets really annoyed. So I try to just let him know, tell him, give him a friendly reminder if he has the time, whether it comes to doing something around the house or, I don't know, getting a tire fixed or getting my oil change, which most of those things I do anyways, because I'm pretty independent that way. But if it comes to something that I know my limits and I absolutely cannot fix this, whether it's a well pump repair because it breaks down often or a water heater repair, just he doesn't need to be nagged incessantly about it. And then I think a big one to keeping the right spirit is just not complaining about our life or our situation or, anything like that to our husbands, because that in a way is complaining about him. It's complaining about the life that he has provided for us, right? It's complaining about the house that he's paying for. And I we have to be really careful about complaining just constantly. And then for me, I like to do all the housework before my husband gets home so I can relax or do things with him when he is home. So I like to enjoy him when he's home. Um, I don't know if it's like this for you ladies, but I can be having a really bad day. And then all of a sudden, my husband's home and I just feel better. I'm just a better person when he's around. I feel better. My mood is better. I just am not, I feel lighter. I feel happier. And sometimes it's hard to get through a long day without him. But then when he gets there, I feel better overall. So I try to enjoy him when he's around. I try not to do a lot of busy work when he's around, um, because I want to have time with him every day, whether that's just a half hour here, 20 minutes here, whatever. So keeping the right spirit by not comparing your marriage to others. You figure out what works for yours. Now, for some of us, we're married to men who like to get to bed by 9. That is my husband. Others of us are married to men who like to stay up till midnight. So we have to adjust our lives kind of based off what they like. So I know that very rare. Like last night we went to see fireworks. My husband was dying on the way home because he wasn't in bed by 9. It was like close to 11 by that time. And he's just like, oh, I'm dying. Yeah. So um it's very rare that we have very late night activities anymore. He's an old man, I know, but he likes being chill in his home, laying down, even if we're just watching a movie together and he's eating his popcorn. That's like his schedule and that's what he likes. So for me, it works better to at least spend a couple hours at, as we both go down. And then if I want to, which a lot of times this happens because I remember I have kids. I'm just like talking a rabbit trail right now, but I have kids that are 22 down to 3. So we will get in the bed, the younger kids to bed by 8, the babies. I call them the babies. And then we'll have a couple hours to just watch a movie, chill, whatever together. He usually ends up falling asleep. And then I've got older kids that maybe they've been busy during the day or whatever. And I have older kids that then I'll have to stay up with for, I don't know, I'll have to stay up with. I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, here we go. I'll have to stay up with and I'll talk. So I'll talk till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning with the older kids because when you have teenagers, you're going to find out that's when they're most open. That's when they talk a lot to you. So you're having to devote all this time with the toddlers when you're younger to then, as you get older kids, then I feel like the only time that they'll really talk to you is midnight, 1 o'clock. So it's a juggling act, right? Because you have to pay attention to your husband. You get to pay attention to your husband. You get to pay attention. You have to pay attention to your little kids and your older kids. And, it's a juggling act. So find out what works for you. Maybe your husband wants you to come to bed with him. Maybe he doesn't mind if you stay up till 1. Mine prefers just chilling with me for a couple hours. So that's what we do in our house. But it could do with anything. It could be with eating schedules, meals. Does he like a hot meal when he gets home? What does he not? Does he eat breakfast in the morning? Does he not? My husband's not a breakfast eater, neither am I. So I am not the type of wife that gets up at the crack of dawn, drinks coffee. He doesn't drink coffee either. Drinks coffee with him and makes him a big breakfast. That just doesn't work for our marriage. But other marriages, he might want you to. So, do what works for yours. You are tailoring your life to your husband's life. And as unpopular as that is in today's society, in today's world, we were created to be the helpmates. That's what the Bible plainly says. And that's what I will always believe. We were created to be our husband's helpmeets. And so let's be their helpmeet. They weren't created to be our helpmeet, where obviously most husbands, if they're good, are going to help out. That is not their main job. Their main job is providing for their family, making sure their needs are met, loving their wife like Christ loved the church, loving their children, not being an angry father. Husband or fathers provoke out your children unto wrath. I didn't quote that exactly right, but you're not supposed to provoke your kids to wrath. You're not supposed to be an angry person. You're not supposed to have your kids just be shaking in their boots whenever you're around. So that's his main job. We were created to be his helpmeet. So, and then having the right spirit when addressing problems. There is a time and a place to address problems in your marriage. But number one, the less people that know about it, the better. Number two, I would only let a trusted source know who you know is well known for having integrity when it comes to keeping secrets and not spreading gossip. So is this someone who's known to take every little bit of juicy information that they have and spread it to everyone that they know? You might want to be a little careful in telling them things. So be careful about bringing people into your problems in your marriage. A lot of things can be fixed just by listening to good preaching, putting into principle what is being taught in those messages, and then praying about it and addressing them calmly in a logical way with your husband, non-emotional, and then not readdressing it over and over and over again. So, and then keep the love and friendship alive in your marriage, because long after the kids are gone, you're going to have each other. And so you need to realize that it's for the long haul. So you got to keep working on it. You got to keep working on your marriage. You got to keep remembering why you fell in love with him. You got to keep the friendship alive. Do things together. Try to find a common interest that you can do together. Like I said, I've said this before, when we had little kids, we literally just got a computer game, Riddle of the Sphinx, and we played it together. That was something we did like every night for a while until we solved the riddle. But it was so fun. And I have so many good memories of that. And it was just something that kept us closer as a couple. So, how do we teach our kids to have the right spirit when it comes to interacting with others? Because this is going to be the majority of their life. They're going to take skills that they learned as a child and they're going to carry that through their life. So, it begins in the home by teaching them. Number one, teach your kids to have a filter. Obviously, kids don't have filters, so we have to teach them that, and that's fine. And it's not about teaching them to be fake. Okay. This is not teaching them to be fake, but it's teaching them that sometimes there's inappropriate things to say, talk about. Sometimes there's inappropriate things to tell another person when it comes to their appearance, something they can't help. You don't need to be pointing that out to them. You know, it's teaching them to just be socially aware and to consider other people's feelings before they speak. Teach your kids that words hurt. And the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me, is stupid and dumb and not even biblical. So words do hurt. Words have a lot of power, and they can use their words to help others, or they can use their words to hurt others, and they need to learn to choose wisely. Teach your kids to keep their thoughts of others to themselves. So sometimes as human beings, we can't help it. We have a thought about someone else. I have a lot of gut feelings about people. Now, 90 times out of 100, my gut feelings are usually correct. I do believe that God gave us moms a natural edge on people and situations, just maybe as a way of protecting our children, as a way of protecting ourselves, protecting our marriages. I do feel like he has given us a natural ability to spot good people, bad people, whatever. But just because we think it doesn't mean that we need to say it. And the same thing with our kids. Just because our kids pick up on something, I'm not talking about something immoral or sinful. Obviously, they need to tell us if anything like that is ever going on. I'm talking about just not liking a person because they're grumpy, or just not liking a certain personality trait of someone. You know, she's too loud, she's too quiet, she's too outgoing, she's too introverted, whatever it may be. They don't need to say it, you know, and they don't need to tell other people how they think that person is. You know, they don't want to poison the well, so to speak. Teach your kids discretion and what things are appropriate to talk about and what things aren't. With my kids, anything like filthy mouth talk, not appropriate. Foul language, not appropriate. Dirty jokes, not appropriate. You know, there's things that we try to hammer in their heads. Teach your kids the danger of being in the middle of all the drama. One way for your girls to keep a right spirit is just stay out of all the drama. They got to stay out of all the drama. And if your child is constantly in the middle of all the drama, you have to ask yourself why. What character flaw do they have that just draws them to the drama starters, or draws them to the pot stirrers, draws them to the people that are so critical of everyone else in their life? You got to ask yourself that. Teach your kids to be kind while also establishing boundaries with people. And sometimes this takes a little while because sometimes you have people pleasers, like my Abigail, and you have to push her to be firm but kind with people that are trying to overstep their boundaries. And she's doing a very good job. She's learned that very well. She's almost 20, and I'm very pleased with the balance in her life of just being kind, but then also just being firm. No, I don't want to do that. No, we're going to do this, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to her personally and her life and, you know, just anything with her friends, you know, et cetera. She's learned really well how to just be firm but kind when it comes to that. Teach your kids to avoid unnecessary friction with friends. And sometimes, you know, there is friction and you have to work through that, but it shouldn't be a constant thing. There shouldn't be constant friction that's going on. And then teach them the power of forgiveness. And the main reason that we teach them, the main way that we teach them is by us exhibiting this character trait ourselves. And it's a lot easier to say you're going to forgive someone than it is to actually do it. Bitterness is a really bad character trait. There we go. Bitterness is a really bad character trait, and many people who are bitter, it just spills out of them. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their speech. You can see the way that they talk about others. It's there and it just spills out. I have learned to stop interacting with these people because they're just trying to get a reaction out of me. But I have several haters. Hi, haters online, and I don't know what I ever did to make them hate me. And most of the time, it's single young men, not even young men, it's single men that hate me. And I threaten their manhood or something. So they will leave little pokes at me on my husband's videos. They'll leave pokes on my videos. And they're very, very toxic people. Very toxic. Not anyone I would ever want in my life. And I have to tell myself that they are this way because of hurts in their own life. Maybe they had a really toxic mom growing up or something, and so now they hate all women. Maybe they had a mom that had a similar personality to me, and they can't stand their mom anymore, so they can't stand me. I don't know. So I try telling myself that because I know that I cannot become bitter at these people, because if I do, it's going to take over my spirit, and I don't want my spirit to be like them. Because they are so bitter and they hate me so much, and they hate my husband so much. There's pastors out there that hate my husband so much that they will look for any little thing that they can use against them and blow it into this huge thing, preaching whole sermons against him. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to live my life that way. I don't want to be constantly laying in wait, looking for fault in others, trying to find something that I could use against them. And the funny thing is that there's certain groups of things that have been told to me, or things I happen to stumble across online, that, like, if I was the same way as them, I could make whole videos attacking, and I could use this evidence against them. But that's not how I want to live my life. And that's not how I want my kids to live their life. And if I'm constantly upset about something being said online, and that's all I can talk about, and it's making me depressed, and I have to go on antidepressants for it because I can't live my life because there's this person 3,000 miles away that hates me, my kids are going to pick up on that, and that's how they're going to start living their lives. And I don't want that. I want them to live a very joyful life where there is forgiveness, where there is grace for other people, where they're not constantly laying in wait trying to, use something against someone else. I don't want that for my kids. And it only hurts you in the long run, because that root of bitterness can get in there and take hold, and it can poison everything in your life. It can poison your relationships. It can poison your home. It can poison your church. So that's not something I want. So we as parents have to exhibit forgiveness. We have to show our kids that we're praying for the person that's wishing us evil. We have to show our kids that, water off the duck's back. So they said it. It's hilarious. That's so funny that they think that, because we know that's not true. And we have to show our kids how to be the better Christian and how to have the right spirit, even when being attacked, being falsely accused. And this could happen in your own personal life. You don't have to have a public platform. It could happen in your church. It could happen in your daily interactions with people. And sometimes we just have to choose that we are going to exhibit Christ-like qualities in our life and not give into the flesh and react the way the flesh wants us. And the flesh wants revenge, and the flesh wants vengeance, and the flesh wants our side of the story to be told. But sometimes we have to leave it in Christ's hands, and we have to act like him. We can't act like our flesh wants to act. So we are the biggest one for showing our kids that. And then teach your kids that they're not over anyone. They're not better than people. They're not above them. We're all servants. We're all striving to serve the Lord. We're all in this together, you know. Um, they're not above anyone. So how do we teach our kids to have the right spirit when it comes to all things godly and spiritual? I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, earlier, but try to train them to seek to please the Lord above all. Teach them that God sees all and God hears all. And more importantly than me finding out about your sin, how do you feel if the Lord knows about it? How do you feel that the Lord can see you doing this? That the Lord sees what you do in private on your phone? That the Lord is seeing the thoughts that you're having against that other person or the thoughts that you're having against the authorities in your life. More importantly, what does the Lord think about all this? They should have a tender heart to his correction and understand that sometimes he uses the authority in their lives as a way to correct them. And then teach them to be open to his leading, to pray and to seek his will. And we do this by example as well. Before we make big decisions, we need to let our kids know, hey, I'm really praying about this. We're not going to rush into it, but I'm really praying about it. Even if it comes to cutting stuff out of your life while you're doing it, fasting from certain things, fasting from the television, fasting from food, whatever it is, just teach your kids, I'm seeking the Lord's will above all. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to wait. We're going to pray about this. And then we're going to do what he would want us to do. And then kids too, they need to be taught to have the right spirit with authorities in their lives. So they're always going to have an authority, and they need to realize this. If it's not you after they move out, it's going to be the law. It's going to be police officers. It's going to be a judge if they break the law and get arrested. It's going to be the court system. It's going to be the government if they end up getting thrown into jail. So they're always going to have an authority. And if they don't heed their lower authorities, if they don't heed their lower authorities, then the higher authorities are going to need to step in and they're going to need to do something about it. And that's why teaching kids to obey is a good thing when they're younger, especially because if you have an out of control kid that is never taught boundaries and never taught that they need to obey certain things in their life, when they turn 18, it's going to be a free for all. They're going to break the law. They're going to do illegal drugs. They're going to drink before they're 21, or even after they're 21, they're going to drive drunk. If they have a pattern of never listening, never obeying, you as their parent, after your authority is gone, as far as like them having to obey your rules in your home, when they leave, they're going to have a hard time obeying the higher authorities because there's always going to be an authority in our life. Laws and rules aren't bad. They're in place to protect most of the time. Some laws are kind of a little excessive, like when it comes to like hunting laws and different things like that. They're usually in place because of a bad person at that point. But most laws, not murdering, not committing fraud, not stealing, they're there to protect other people. And with my kids, we really try to hammer home that if you love the Lord and you love your brother, you love other people, not even your brothers and sisters in Christ, just humans in general. If you love God and you love others, everything else falls into place. Because if you love God, you're going to want to follow his commandments. If you love others, you're not going to be stealing from them. You're not going to be murdering them. You're not going to be punching them. You're not going to be tearing them apart with your tongue. So everything falls into place if you just keep those two things in line. And then teach your kids about sneaking around. A lot of times in homes with very strict rules and like checklist mentality, do this, and you're going to raise good kids. Don't have TV. Don't ever allow a Disney movie. Don't ever allow your girls to wear makeup. Don't ever allow them to wear fingernail polish. Don't ever allow them to do this, so on and so forth. If you have rules like that, but you're not teaching them that they should obey out of a heart of love and not just not get caught, because a lot of kids, they'll just sneak around and not get caught. And then the hammer will come down when they get caught. But as parents, we should be thinking, why are they sneaking around? Why are they not obeying these rules out of a heart of love? Why are they trying to get away with this? There's obviously a heart problem there. So, and then having the right spirit in general. I try to teach my kids to treat others the way they want to be treated. If they don't want others saying nasty things about them, don't say nasty things about others. If they don't want others lying about them, don't lie about others. I try to teach them to care what we think, to care what us as their parents think, to want to please us, to be afraid to disappoint us. You know, um, if you love your kids and you love your kids well, they will grow up knowing that, yeah, we had rules, but they were there for my protection. That's why you have to be really careful about being over the top with stuff. My husband touched on this in yesterday's sermons. He was really careful when we had little kids, when it was easy to make them obey us and easy to get a yes, sir, and a yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and no, ma'am out of them. We were really careful not to be over the top about certain things in our life, whether that came to standards, rules. We were really careful about not thumping our chest and thinking that we had all the answers. We were really careful about instructing other parents what to do in situations when we hadn't even raised kids to adults. Now that we have half of our kids raised, almost, we are a little more confident in what we believe. We're a little bit more confident because it's working, right? And if it's not broken, don't fix it. Obviously, we've adjusted some things throughout the years, but we've really tried to foster relationships with our kids to really get to the heart of the matter. I'm more sensitive to this than my husband is because men don't pick up on the heart of the matter very often as much as their wives do. And I think that's why there's that perfect balance between men and wife. I'm very sensitive to a shift in spirit with my kids, and I'll tell my husband something's not right. Like there's something going on, and I'll dig until I find it, and it drives my kids crazy. But I always get to the bottom of it, and then we try to fix it. Like, okay, this isn't working. Let's try to fix this. Something's not right with your attitude. This needs to be fixed. This needs to be changed. Um, and so that's why those midnight talks are important. Those 1 o'clock talks are important. We're really trying to get to the heart of the matter. And no one prepared me for the fact that when my kids got to be teenagers and adults, it was going to be very late nights and a lot of emotional talks, a lot of heart to heart talks. But it's so worth it when you see them choosing to go down the right path. But my kids do because they really love their dad and they really love me. They care about hurting us. And I think that's so important. If we could just get our kids to that point, it would eliminate so many stupid decisions, once they move out or once they get on their own. So really get to the heart of the matter, really have a good relationship with them. Teach them to treat their employers with respect, to work hard, to have the right spirit on the job, that they should stand out among their peers, especially if they are the only Christian. They should have a better spirit. Just like Daniel and his friends, they stood out. That's how I want my kids. I want my kids to stand out. And honestly, in today's world, it's not hard because almost every teenager is rebellious. Every teenager listens to secular music and wants to, sneak around and whatever. So as Christian kids, our kids should be standing out more than the world. They should be more pure. They should be more clean. They should be more godly. They should have different speech. They should have a different way of dressing. They should say no to all the things of the world, the drinking and, the smoking and the tattoos and the drugs and whatever it is, the fornication, living like the world. They should stand out in the fact that they're not doing that. So, and a lot of it comes back to having the right spirit overall. Definitely. Um, Yes, Joyce, I will agree with you. There's a definite fracture there in the relationship if the kids just totally don't care what their parents think. If they intentionally try to hurt their parents, there's a major fracture there that um needs to be dealt with and addressed, I think. So, and then I teach my kids overall with the overall spirit, just don't say anything about someone that they wouldn't say to their face. And that right there is going to eliminate half of the mean, nasty things that you would say. If you think in your mind, would I say this to them while they're standing right here? Yes. Okay. Then it's okay to say. And I think just teaching our kids to pause before they speak. Take time. I was talking to one of my teenage daughters, and I was telling her, I'm like, when you're tired and when you're overwhelmed, you're going to have the tendency to pop off at the mouth. I said, so what I do, when I'm very tired, I have a very hard time controlling my mouth because I need my sleep. I've always been that way. And so what I do when I can feel it, I'm very tired, I'm very down right now, I'm going to take time before I respond. I'm going to be very slow with my words. And for me, that just means thinking about it before I say it. And I think if we would just teach our kids to slow down, pause, think about what they're saying before they say it, that would eliminate a lot of problems when it comes to having a bad spirit with someone else. So, and then lastly, just teach them to be kind. I just read about another story of a 13-year-old girl who killed herself because she had been bullied for years. And the rate of suicide is on the rise. There is no doubt about that. I think there's a lot of issues that come with that. Um, it's definitely a generational thing. And what are the parents of these 20, 22, 23, 24-year-olds? Where did we go wrong? Like, what do we need to fix? Is it just because we've had it really easy in America and we've not really been through a lot? And so then when something does happen, they can't handle it? Is it an emotional problem? Obviously they probably all connect, but is it social media? Is social media playing a part? These girls were bullying her on social media as well, not only in school, but they are making videos, TikTok videos, and being just really mean and nasty. And for a 13-year-old to be so hopeless and feel so overwhelmed by the nasty things being said to her that she would kill herself is beyond realm of comprehension for me. So, as parents, another warning is just making sure you keep tabs on what your 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old is doing on their phone. Listening if they're telling you that there's an issue with someone's being horrible to them, someone's saying horrible things, this needs to be addressed. Her kid was in public school and this was happening, and I don't understand. Maybe they just couldn't financially. Why didn't she take them? This is the second story I've heard in 2 weeks of middle school kids killing themselves. Why didn't they take them out of school? Homeschooling your kid would prevent so much of that. If they're incessantly being bullied at school, you need to do something as a parent. So my heart goes out to the parents. I can't imagine going through that. And at the same time, it's a good warning and a good reminder to me of why I'm doing things the way I'm doing it. Anyone that knows the McMurtry kid knows that they're very outgoing and friendly, and they like to talk to everyone, all the way down to Hannah. Well, I'm going to call Hannah super friendly, but we're working on that. We're working on getting the right spirit with Hannah. Um, Hannah's so special to me, and I love her to death. But God sent her to me so that he could be like, see, Cassandra, you don't have all the answers, which I never thought I did. But she's a wild card in the family of McMurtry's. And I think part of it is that she's the youngest of 8. So that's going to produce a wild child. And she's my wild card. And God is using her to mold me, even at 43, and shape me and help me have more patience and help me have more kindness and helping me have more compassion for parents that might have not so much difficult children, but children that aren't cut out of the same normal cloth. Hannah's a little different. She's very quirky, and but she's so special to me. And God knew that Hannah needed me as her mom, just like, yes, the skies. Skies. Oh, she's hilarious. God knew, giving you each of your kids, that you are the most perfect mom for them. And I know I say that often, but it's true. I look at Hannah, who my heart is bursting with love for, at the same time, while I don't have the answers for teaching her coping mechanisms for when she gets overwhelmed and when she's out of her element. And I look at her and I think God knew I needed Hannah at this point in my life. And God knew that Hannah needed me. And Hannah wouldn't do as well under someone else as her mom. So that's why God gave her to me at this time in my life. And I think I'm going to sign off now so I can go hug Hannah and go kiss her and go tell her how much I love her. So, and you know what Hannah does all the time? At least if you've been around her, you've heard her do this at least 10 times a day. Mom, I'll be like, what? I love you. Mommy, I love you. Mom, I love you. And that is like, oh, I don't care how rough it's been the whole day when she says that. None of it matters. Oh, because it just melts my heart. So hang in there, mamas. Summer can be a little hairy. It's been a little hairy for me because I've been so off schedule. So I'm looking forward to getting back to schedule in a few weeks. Hang in there. You are the best mom for your kids, and God knew what he was doing when he gave them to you. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will be back hopefully next Monday, maybe at a different time, maybe an earlier time. We're picking up our friends. Ashen has been with us for a week from Ireland, and his parents are flying in next. Yeah, oh, he's been with us a week, and his parents are flying in next week. So they'll be here for a couple weeks, but I'll try to do it before we pick him up from the airport. So I will see you all later and look for a members live. I think I'm going to talk about this book. I read this book a long time ago, and it's really just it's just a short little book, but it's full of a lot of really good truths. And it's mainly when it comes to relationships. Really, really like this book. A lot of good truths in this. And I think I'm going to kind of touch on a couple things about relationships and friendships and ways that we can be a better friend, ways that we can establish boundaries with other people while being kind. And the members live probably later this week. So I hope you all have a great week, and we will talk to you later.